I'm in my favorite camping spot again, over here in southwest Mississippi. I'm going to hunt again on the Mississippi River over there. I'm going to be here for 10, 12 days. This is the time of the year the rut should happen here, and it's my favorite time in the deer woods. The forecast shows me clear skies for the next several days. Temperatures down around 30, 32, 28 at night. Sometimes a couple of days this week, highs in the 50, then lower 50s. It should be an excellent time to be here. I sure hope so. I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, I got here a little while ago and got my camp set up. It's a little too late to run over there and try to hunt this afternoon. It takes about 30 minutes to get there from here. I'm just going to build a fire, sit by the fire a little bit, cook something for supper. I don't know yet, pork chops, chicken, something. And hit the sack early. I'll get up at 3:45. And I want to try to be over there in a tree in the morning, at least an hour before daylight, let the woods calm down from me going in there. Last time I went over there, I walked in there and man, deer just blew out everywhere. And I didn't stay long that morning. I had told you on that last video I had a problem with my truck. I got home in time to get my truck to the mechanic that I use that Friday afternoon. And they got to look at it on Monday. And they had it fixed by Tuesday afternoon. But my starter, I knew something was happening with my starter, but it had worn out 3 or 4 teeth on my flywheel that cranks the engine, and I'm really lucky I didn't get stranded over here a couple of weeks ago when I was here last. Anyway, all that's supposed to be fixed now, and it seems to be doing well. Anyhow, I'm going to be here a few days. Hopefully I'm going to have some deer footage to show you. There's the deer right there. A big old Mississippi River doe. I had seen a buck about 30 minutes before I shot this doe. He wasn't very big. He wasn't legal. He came out in front of me. He's just cruising. About 30 minutes later, I was in a tree right back there. I looked behind me, and this doe and another doe was easing through the woods behind me. She stepped in an opening, and I shot her with a 45-70. This deer right here is a lot bigger doe than the one I shot over where I live. These deer on this Mississippi River floodplain, they just get bigger. This is a nice one. So I've got enough meat now. So from here on out, it's probably just buck hunting, because the rut should be just kicking off any second where I'm at right here. It turned out to be a good day. When I got here yesterday, I was hoping that this morning I could get a deer down quick and get the meat hunt out of the way. Now that's not all the meat I want, but I'm probably not going to shoot any more does. I got one in the freezer at home, got one in the ice chest right here, and this was a pretty good sized deer. So it's probably a buck hunt from now on. But this morning I got over there early, went and got in a tree, and it was 40 degrees, and it was a cold 40 degrees this morning. And sit there and nothing happened, nothing happened, nothing happened. Just the woods were just kind of dead. And then at 8:45, I looked over yonder, and there was a deer standing there, and it looked like it was looking at me. It was about 50 yards out there. And I just froze, and in a minute it started walking, and I seen horns, and I got the scope on it, and it was a little 4-point or something. And he walked out in front. He was just cruising out in front of me. Went on. That was at 8:45. So by this time I stood up in my stand so that I could see everywhere. And at 9 o'clock, I looked behind me, and there was a doe standing back there. And I looked to her right, and there was another one. And they eased this way, and the lead doe turned and went like that. And I wasn't going to have a shot at that deer. And the next doe that was coming, she was going to step through a little opening, and then she was probably going to follow the same path. And I wasn't going to have a shot at her except in that opening. So I got propped up against the tree real quick. She stepped in that opening, and it was a kind of an odd angle on my shoulder. And that 70 kicks like a mule, and I got a big bruise on my shoulder. But she stepped in that opening, and I put it right here and shot. She took off and run out there, and I could see one tail through the woods. And I was going, well, that's a good sign, because, you know, if I'd have missed her, I'd have seen two. So wait a few minutes and get down, go over there. And where she was standing, there was hair everywhere. So found a little blood, found a little bit more, but it wasn't much. And I was going, ooh, this, I hope I didn't mess up again. And I kept following blood, but it just wasn't very much. And after probably 25 yards, I was already thinking, this deer has probably gotten away from me, because I didn't hit it good. But the further I got along the trail, the blood trail, the more blood it was. And this deer ran about 100 yards. And I don't know how she did, but I finally come up on her and found her. And I had gone through with that 45-70 slug. It had gone completely through her. And but how she went 100 yards, I don't know, but she did. But anyway, I got meat in the ice chest over there. So tomorrow and the next few days is going to be a buck hunt. And this is Wednesday. Probably have to go home Saturday night and take that deer meat and get it cut up and get it in the freezer, and then come back Monday morning probably. I don't like for that meat to be in that cooler no more than about 5 days, and this is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday will be 4 days. So that's probably what I'm going to do. Probably going to go home Saturday night and come back Monday morning. I'm not going to haul my camper from here. I'll just go over there and do my deal and come back. But anyway, this hunt has started off very well. I'm very, very glad I got a deer down already. Some big otters right there. shot this buck at about 9 o'clock this morning. It is now 2 o'clock and I'm still 100 yards from the truck. This has been a long drag and I am some kind of beat. But he's a big bodied deer. He's not very old. He doesn't have a big rack, but he's a legal buck. And I'm glad to have him. So I got another 100 yards to go. Get this dude in the truck. I am beat. So I had another good day in the woods. Shot a buck, got a buck down today. I shot that deer at 9 o'clock this morning. And he was only about 30 feet away when I shot him, but when I was pulling the trigger, he turned a little bit, so the angle changed. He got away from me, and I followed blood until it was just a little drop here and a little drop there. And at the end, I was almost down on my hands and knees looking for blood, and finally I just couldn't find any anymore. So I just went out in the direction that he was headed in when I shot him, or when the last blood I found. And went out through there, and I got about 100 yards from there. Come to a thicket, and it was a bunch of thick stuff out there, but I could see 2 or 3 rubs in this thick stuff. And I went, yeah, he was headed here. This is probably where he beds. So he's probably going to be in here. I'm either going to jump him or find him dead. So I went up in there and I looked around. I just didn't find anything. No blood, no deer, no nothing. So I had actually given up. This was 2.5 hours after I shot that deer. So I come back out of that thicket. I was actually about to head back toward the truck. And I took one last look back up here, and I seen that deer laying on the ground about 40 yards out there. Boy, I was pumped. I was happy. So anyway, it was a good day. I got him out. But I shot that deer at 9 o'clock this morning, and I finally got him in the bed of my truck at almost 3 o'clock. It was a punishing, grueling haul getting him out of those woods. But anyway, I did it. Got him here and got him cut up and in the ice chest. Now tomorrow, I'm going to go hunt for a couple of hours, and I'm going to go home because I got deer meat that I need to tend to, get in the freezer. And I'm going to come back over here Sunday afternoon probably. But my buddy Tom came yesterday, and he's camped with me last night and tonight. And while I was over there dealing with that deer today, he was cooking up some groceries for tonight, and it was pretty good stuff. He cooked some country-style ribs in some barbecue sauce and pineapple, and then he cooked some baked beans with some sausage he bought from a packing house. And man, that stuff was fine. It was an excellent meal because I didn't eat much today at all dealing with that deer. But I got here tonight and had an excellent meal, so it's been a great day. And now I'm beat, so I'm headed in there to the bed. All right, this is Sunday evening. It's 30 minutes before dark. I've been back here at the camp for about an hour and a half. I went home yesterday morning. I hunted yesterday morning till 9:30. Didn't see any deer. Heard a few shots though. And then I came back to the camp, and my buddy Tom had already gone home. So anyway, I loaded up my 2 ice chests of deer meat and a couple other things, and went home yesterday so I could get that deer meat cut up and put in the freezer. That doe had been in the ice since Wednesday, and that buck was only in ice for a day and a half, but that'll be all right. Anyway, I got it all cut up and put in the freezer. The back strap I vacuum sealed it's ready to go. But the other is just in Ziploc bags, and I squashed out all the air that I could. Uh, when deer season's done, or when I'm ready, I'll get all that meat out, thaw it out, and I'll trim it up, trim the sinew and the silver skin and all that stuff off of it, so that I'll have pretty much just red meat. And then I'll kind of divide it up, and I'll grind some of it into hamburger and some of it into sausage. So I got 3 deer in the freezer. I got a pretty good bit of meat. So now I'm buck hunting for decent bucks. I'm not going to shoot another small buck. Tonight's low is only like 40 degrees, and that's warmer than it has been, because it's been down in the low 30s and upper 20s here and where I live for the last several nights. But tomorrow night's low here is 28 degrees, and then the high tomorrow is like 54, and then it's down to 30 and the high 46. So this next week looks excellent. There's a chance of rain on a couple of days, but one of them's early morning, like before daylight, unless that changes. And then the other one is late afternoon, late evening. So should be a good week, and the rut should be getting with it over there right now, because they were getting real ready this past week. So I'm excited. I'm ready to get over there and maybe encounter a really big buck. We'll see. I'm gonna enjoy being over there anyway. Now, Friday morning when I killed that little 8-point, I had kind of gone into a piece of woods that I've never been in much. I've been in there a time or two, but not very often. I was trying to get in there and find some good buck sign. And I got in there on a deer trail, and I just eased down that deer trail. It was cold that morning, frost everywhere, and I'd just take 2 or 3 steps and stop and look. And I got down in there and I found some rubs and a couple of scrapes, and I had come to a place and a deer run off from me. But when I shot that buck, he walked up on me really close. And like I said earlier, when I was pulling the trigger, that deer moved, and it changed the angle of that bullet, and it went in where I was aiming was in front of the shoulder. He was at an angle to me. If he had just stayed still when I shot him, that deer would probably have dropped right there. But he moved, and I hit behind his shoulder and went in an angle, and it came out the left hindquarter. So that deer wasn't killed instantly, so he ran. And I thought I had killed him. So I waited a few minutes, but then I eased over there to where he had run to. Last I heard him. And there he went. He ran away from me. I went, good gosh, no. But anyway, I already told you the story, how long it took me to find him, and finally get him in my hands. I drug that deer out. I got a little dragon rope that I made. And according to my hunt stand out, I was 2,000 feet from my truck in a straight line. Now, I couldn't go in a straight line. I had to go around logs here, go around cockleburr thickets this way, and on and on. So I don't know how far I drug it. I'm just going to say I drug that deer almost 700 yards. And it took me quite a while to drag him out and get him in the truck. It was 3 o'clock before I got him in the truck, and I shot him at 9 that morning. So it was a long, tough day for this old fella. And then I had to get here and get him hung in a tree and get the hide off, get him quartered up in the ice chest. So it was right at dark when I got completely through with that. And I was a beat down old guy, I'm telling you. But anyway, it's a good memory. I'm glad that I'm still healthy enough that I can actually drag 125 pounds, 700 yards. And I did it. And if I kill another one, I'm going to get my deer cart out of the truck and go and use the deer cart. But that's a big hassle in itself, because those woods over there where I hunt is mostly willow trees, and they They get about that big around, some bigger than that. They get very tall, they're very brittle, they fall all the time. So it's blowdowns and dead trees everywhere. So dragging a cart through all that wouldn't be very much fun anyway. But next time I'm going to go get my cart and give that a shot. I have pulled deer out of those woods over there on a cart, but I didn't have to go very far. And so anyway, we'll see in the morning if I shoot a deer or whenever. I'm going to try that cart. This is the first time to hunt out of my new stand. I come in this area this morning, found 3 big fresh rubs and 2 or 3 scrapes. Anyway, I think I'm going to like this stand. Wasn't hard to carry in here. I'm in here a pretty good ways. Monday I saw 9 deer throughout the day. 4 of them that morning. 2 of them were does, the other one I'm not sure what it was. And then around 11 or so I got down and eased over to another piece of woods to look at this particular thicket that I've seen deer in before. One time I saw a really big buck in there. So I got over there, the wind was out of the north, so I eased around the south side of this thing. I stay about 40, 50 yards out there. Don't get too close. I'll take a step or two and look. There's bushes that grow sporadically on the edge of this thicket. And they got this vine that grows on them and just hangs down. It's got brown leaves all over it. And sometimes those deer will lay up in that. And I was easing along there and looked under one. The sun, it was a bright day. The sun was shining in a couple of spots in that bush. And it looked like brown, gray, and white hair. I said, man, there's a deer right there. I eased my scope up and looked in there, and sure enough, there was a buck laying there looking at me. I could tell he was a pretty good deer, but I didn't have a good shot right there. So I was going to try to step to my right and get a better angle. And when I did, he took off. And he was a spectacular animal. Big body and a big fine rack. I mean a nice deer. But he got away. I couldn't do anything with him. He got away from me. But it was very exciting, and I did enjoy that encounter. It's not often you can find a buck laying in his bed, but the thing is, if I hadn't have stopped there, if I'd have just kept on easing on, that deer would have never moved. He'd have just laid there. So that afternoon, got climbed up in another tree and saw 4 that afternoon. 2 of them were a doe and a small deer, and there was another deer with them that was quite a bit larger than they were, but I never could see the thing's head. And in a little bit, it just kind of walked off, and I didn't see it anymore. Then a little later, another deer came through, but it didn't look very big. I didn't see its head either. That was Monday, 9 deer on Monday. Yesterday, I never saw a deer. All day long, never saw a deer. This morning, at daylight, it was raining, and it rained till about 8 o'clock. And I stayed here at the camp until it stopped raining. Then I took off, got over there, and got in a tree about 9:30, and stayed in that tree till about 11:30. Got down, eased out to the truck, going to eat a sandwich right quick and go in this other block of woods and check it out. And while I was sitting there eating, done got about noon now. Down the road about 100 yards, a real nice buck walked across the road. And I had my binoculars sitting there, so I looked at him. He was a real nice deer. Wasn't as good as that one that I saw Monday, but he was a real good-looking deer. And that was the only deer that I saw today. After I got through eating lunch, I had a stand down here where the block of woods he went in. So I eased down there, got back in that stand at 1 o'clock, stayed all the way to dark. I never saw a deer. Didn't see him or anything else. But it's gonna be cold tonight, 28, 27. And I'll be back out there in the morning, chasing them again. I went and hunted a couple hours this morning. I didn't see anything. A couple of squirrel hunters came in on me, so I came on back. I'd already decided to go home today. My camper's been here for 9 days. I hunted 7.5 days. Killed a doe and a buck, so I didn't do too bad. Had a good time. Saw a couple of really good bucks. Enjoyed that. But anyway, it's time to pack all this up and get on back home. I don't know if I'll make it back here this year or not. I may come back right at the end of this month for the last 2 or 3 days of the season. I might. I don't know yet. I'm going to try to hunt over around where I live for a little bit. Anyway, as usual, I appreciate y'all watching these videos, and I will catch y'all on the next one.